welcome back to another daily lore and react. Uh, this is it's probably late. This is a series where I react to, obviously, of course, this person's channel. I go from the oldest right here to the newest, and obviously, from what I've done a lot, except the first one because that my audio didn't properly record. So now, yes, now we're all caught up. Now we're up to this one.
No one, not even WhatsApp, can hear your personal messages.
Oh, no. Sorry about that. Did not mean to do that.
My neighbor complained for years
I don't like when it does that. It's annoying. Messes up the video.
about my eyesore garden that attracts pests. Yesterday, after his HOA petition failed, he trespassed and destroyed everything while I was at work. What he didn't know was that I'm a botanist specializing in endangered plants, and my garden was part of a university conservation program.
Ooh.
Now he's facing federal charges.
Ooh, yeah, that's it. Sorry if you hear me yawning, I'm tired. That's just, I mean, sucks for you, I guess. I don't know what else to say, my dude. You just kind of, you should have just went along with it. If it failed, the HOA thing failed, and obviously you should have just ended it there. But some people want to take it a step further, which makes no sense.
I never understood why Roger hated my garden so much. When I first moved into the quiet suburban neighborhood 5 years ago, I was excited to finally have space for the garden I'd always dreamed of. As a botanist specializing in endangered native plant species, I saw my modest quarter-acre backyard as an opportunity to create something beautiful and ecologically valuable. From the beginning, I designed the garden thoughtfully. It wasn't some chaotic mess of weeds that many people imagine when they hear native garden. I carefully selected species native to our
Yeah, she probably meticulously picked where to put everything to go everywhere. She picked a place for everything to go perfectly, so it probably looks very good.
region, arranged plants in attractive clusters, installed small water features to support pollinators,
Wow.
and maintained winding gravel paths throughout. The university I work for even provided grant funding to establish it as a satellite conservation site, as I was cultivating several endangered species that had disappeared from much of their natural range. The problems with Roger started within months of my arrival. It began with pointed comments whenever we happened to cross paths. "When are you going to cut down those weeds?" Or, "Real grass would look so much better."
Weeds. I mean, do they actually look bad? I mean, do they actually look like weeds, or do they look like grass? I don't know what they look like, actually. That's the thing about Reddit stories. You don't know what they look like.
I politely explained the ecological importance of native plants, how they supported local wildlife, required less water, and helped preserve biodiversity. He would nod impatiently and walk away, clearly uninterested in my explanations. As my garden matured, becoming lusher and more established, Roger's complaints escalated. He started taking photos over the fence, documenting what he called clear violations of neighborhood standards. The thing is, our neighborhood didn't have an HOA or any official landscaping requirements.
There's no HOA. Oh, shit. Uh, wait, huh? That makes no sense. Obviously, we would find out, but okay.
His disapproval was purely aesthetic. 2 years ago, Roger started a petition to establish an HOA specifically to force me to remove my garden. He went door to door with photos of what he called my jungle and warned neighbors about declining property values and vermin attracted by my plants. Fortunately, most of my neighbors were either supportive of my garden or unwilling to subject themselves to HOA restrictions just to police my yard. His petition failed, garnering only 7 signatures out of the 52 houses in our neighborhood. Last summer,
uh,
Roger's tactics shifted. He began contacting the city with noise complaints about
I see. That's okay. That makes more sense. Okay, but obviously what he did is bad, but that makes more sense why he escalated so much, because there's no actual HOA in the neighborhood. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, got it.
excessive wildlife in my yard. The city officials who visited found nothing beyond the happy buzzing of bees, chirping of native birds, and occasional visit from a local fox family, none of which violated any ordinances. One inspector actually complimented me on creating such a healthy ecosystem. Throughout all this, I maintained a polite but firm stance. I invited Roger to tour the garden, offered him educational materials, and even gifted his wife with a bouquet of native flowers, which she seemed to appreciate, though Roger made her throw them away. I installed an attractive wooden fence.
This guy is just losing it. He's just losing it. I don't understand. Why does some neighbors have an inkling to start a fight or something? Like they want to die on a certain hill. It's kind of stupid, but okay. You do you. See where it lands you.
Along our property line to reduce the visual impact on his yard. Nothing appeased him. Yesterday, everything changed. I was at work, giving a lecture to undergraduate students about the importance of conservation through cultivation, when my phone started buzzing with texts from my neighbor Elena. She was sending me photos of Roger in my backyard with a gas-powered weed whacker and jugs of herbicide, systematically destroying my garden.
Ooh.
I immediately called the police and raced home, but by the time I arrived, the damage was done. 5 years of careful cultivation had been reduced to trampled, wilting vegetation. The rare coastal barber's
Yeah.
buttons, which had taken 3 years to establish and were part of a regional conservation study, were completely destroyed. The endangered swamp pink lilies, which I had permits from the Fish and Wildlife Service to propagate, were doused in herbicide. The monarch butterfly way station I had certified was trampled into mud. Roger was still there when I arrived, standing triumphant.
He's gonna be once this becomes serious, he's gonna be like something about it's over flowers, it's plants. He's not gonna understand why he's getting arrested, or he's gonna be like, I didn't know they were that important, something like that.
In the midst of destruction as police officers questioned him. He showed no remorse. In fact, he seemed proud, explaining loudly that he was protecting the neighborhood from an invasive eyesore and that I should thank him for improving my property. What Roger didn't understand, or care to learn, was that my garden wasn't just a personal hobby. It was an official conservation site, part of my university's endangered species recovery program. Many of the plants he destroyed were protected under state and federal endangered species laws. I had permits, participated in official studies, and provided data to conservation agencies. This wasn't just vandalism, it was a violation of environmental protection laws. The police initially treated it as a simple trespassing and property damage case, but when I explained the nature of the garden and showed them my documentation and permits, they quickly realized the severity of the situation. They contacted state environmental officials and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Today, just 24 hours after the destruction, Roger is facing not only trespassing and vandalism charges but also potential federal charges under the Endangered Species.
I know I'm laughing a lot, but holy shit. They went from 0 to 100 real quick. He's gonna learn not to mess with plants now.
Act. Each willful destruction of an endangered plant species carries significant penalties, including possible prison time. The university's legal department is also involved, as his actions destroyed years of research data. The consequences for Roger are serious, but that brings me no joy. I take no pleasure in his legal troubles, just as I never wanted this conflict in the first place. What saddens me most is the irreplaceable loss. Some of those plant populations.
That's true. Honestly, remember there's not that many of them, and that also it might they might actually have the last of the last plants. So obviously, yeah, some plants you can't just reproduce because that's the last of their kind.
represented genetic diversity that can't be easily restored. The established ecosystem, with its interconnected web of plants and animals, will take years to rebuild, if it can be rebuilt at all. My colleagues from the university and several conservation organizations have rallied around me. They've helped document the damage, offered replacement specimens where possible, and pledged support for restoration efforts. Even neighbors who had been neutral in the conflict have stopped by to express their sympathy and offer help with replanting. Elena, who documented the destruction, has shared her photos and videos widely on social media. The story has attracted attention from local environmental groups and even a regional news station. People who never understood the importance of native plant conservation are now learning about it through this unfortunate incident.
Yeah, I mean, most people probably won't really understand that. I know I don't. Obviously, plants are important, but I don't know anything about plants, of course. Um, I wouldn't. I wouldn't say I wouldn't destroy them, but I wouldn't go out of my way to destroy somebody else's plants. Obviously, if it was on my yard and I know nothing about it, then obviously, of course, I might accidentally destroy something that's actually very that valuable. But honestly, something like that, if that was actually on a property, that should be disclosed. That it shouldn't be destroyed. So, either way.
For my garden, I've begun the slow process of assessment and planning for restoration. Some species may be lost permanently from my
I know they're going to tell us what happened, but I want to know what happened.
collection, while others might recover from roots that survived the herbicide. The university has promised funding to help rebuild the conservation site, possibly with even more robust monitoring and security measures. I keep thinking about how this all could have been avoided if Roger had just taken the time to learn about what I was doing. If he had accepted any of my many invitations to walk through the garden, to understand its purpose and value, perhaps he would have seen beyond his narrow conception of what a proper yard should look like. This experience has strengthened my resolve to not only restore my garden but to make it more accessible for community education. Once rebuilt, I plan to host regular open garden days, workshops on native plants, and programs for local schools. Perhaps by making the value of this work more visible, I can prevent someone else's conservation efforts from meeting the
Honestly, that is true. I mean, once people learn about something, it's really hard for them. Well, I wouldn't say hard, because not everyone's like that. But once somebody learn about something, they usually think twice about destroying it. Usually, I won't say always. Some people don't care, even if they know it's something that's like, I would say valuable, because there's a very limited amount of them in the world, so it's very valuable. Not in the monetization wise, but there's very few of them. That's not the right word, but whatever. I'll stick with it.
same fate. The irony is that Roger's destructive act, intended to eliminate what he saw as a neighborhood problem, has instead brought attention and support to native
You're not going to tell us what happened to Roger. That's annoying.
plant conservation. His hatred of my wildlife attracting weeds may ultimately result in more such gardens, not fewer. As I look out at my damaged sanctuary, I remind myself that nature is resilient. Seeds lie dormant in the soil, roots survive underground, and with care and time, much can be restored. The same can't necessarily be said for Roger's future, as he faces the legal consequences of his actions. I never wanted this conflict, never wanted him to suffer serious penalties, but I also can't help feeling that there's a certain justice in the fact that the natural world he so casually dismissed as worthless will now be defended with the full force of environmental law.
Excuse me, how much do you want to bet I can find work quicker than you?
There's no way.
All right, let's see who can find something faster.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't know what. Oh, fuck. No, get that off my screen. We don't know what happened to Roger at all. Like, we have no idea. Like, what is he doing? Like, where is he? Did he go to jail? Which I feel like he did. Because obviously at the end, it sounds like they went to jail for whatever she said or they said. Yeah. I mean, Honestly, if you don't know what you're destroying, you should really learn about what you're destroying before you destroy it. If you're destroying something, you should know what you're destroying. Then you can make an informed decision if you should or should not destroy whatever you're destroying. And if you still think you should, and it's something that's like, this or something that's valuable, then obviously you'll pay whatever consequences there is when the time comes. So, yeah, that'll be up to you and you alone, of course. Okay. My neighbor complained for years about my eyesore garden that attracts pests yesterday. And that's by his Reddit story. React. And I hope you have a nice day, a nice evening. I hope you have a nice day, good evening, good morning, and wait, oh. Okay, I messed that up. Hope you have a good day, a good evening, a good night, and a good morning. Okay, bye.